Hello, this is Christy Whitman with the Quantum Success Show, where you can get your information and inspiration to create your desires. And today I have a friend. I have an amazing person I cannot wait to introduce you to. Eben Pagan had launched his first online business from his bedroom in 2001, and beginning with an ebook, of all things, for dating advice. And his company grew to over 10 brands. It's so impressive, selling more than $100 million worth of training and information products with over 70 employees, all 100% virtual, no office, thank you, great commute. Today, Eben reaches entrepreneurs around the world to grow their businesses through his online training courses. And he also invests in and advises high-growth startups, including Sports, Splash, Inflection, and OnGig. So, Eben, I'm so excited that you're here.
It's great to be here.
Real excited. So, I know that we're going to talk a little bit about creativity and productivity today, but why is creativity so important today? And how can you make yourself more kind of creative in a way that really builds your business?
Yeah, creativity is a really interesting concept. A friend of mine wrote an article not too long ago saying that he believes that creativity is going to be the most important skill in the future. They did a big survey. I think it was IBM did a huge survey of Fortune 500 CEOs, and they came back and they said creativity is the key skill to have. Like even more important than things like leadership and so forth.
Wow.
And I think that if you look at the most successful companies that have sprouted up over the last 10, 20 years, you just see a massive amount of creativity. I'm on a big Steve Jobs kick. Every year or two, I kind of go back into watching his stuff and reading his stuff, and I'm right in the middle of it again. And he was an incredibly creative human being. And I think if you look at the word creativity, and you really ask, what is creativity? What does the word mean? You notice that the root is the word create. Right? A lot of us think that creativity is just about coming up with lots of ideas, but creativity is actually about creating things. It's about coming up with new combinations and putting things together in new ways that are really valuable to other people. So if you didn't create something and it wasn't valuable to someone else, then it wasn't creative as far as I'm concerned. It's not just brainstorming. It's actually making stuff that other people find more valuable.
I love that definition of that. That is great. And I love the aspect of it too, because, it's not just being creative and thinking about things. It's actually implementing, taking action, and making something happen, like putting things out there. So I love that. So how can you get done more in a day? And specifically, how can you be more productive in a way that leads to growing your business and your income?
Well, right now, one of the things that I say sometimes when I speak is I'll ask the audience, I'll say, what's the number one priority in business right now? Or what's the number one priority in business? And, they'll yell out things like profit and growth and managing people or hiring talent or creating, good products or something like that. And I say, no, the number one priority right now is distraction and interruption. And it's the number one priority, meaning that we are inundated with communication, right? And the professionals out there are figuring out new ways to grab our attention, in these tall buildings in the middle of big cities everywhere. They're just sitting all day long split testing ways to grab your attention, which we're all doing as marketers, as well. And so what we have to do is we have to ask ourselves, okay, how do we prevent distraction and how do we prevent interruption? And how do we keep our mind and our attention focused on the things in our business that create the most value? And to kind of cut to the chase of what creates the most value, if you're wondering, it's usually working on your product, making it better, making it more of what your customers want. And you do that by talking to your customers and asking what their pains and their fears and their desires and all these kinds of things are, and then working on your marketing, working on communicating in a way that gets more customers to kind of call you. And so when you put all that together, what you kind of realize is that, what I've been doing, what most people have been doing, what I've been doing is waking up in the morning and going and checking my text messages or going and reading my email or listening to my voicemail or getting on everyone else's agenda, essentially, seeing what they all have for me. And then we get caught up and go down those rabbit holes for several hours, and we're fighting fires. And maybe by the afternoon when we remember, oh yeah, there's that part of my business called making money. Maybe I should go pay attention to that for a few minutes. We've already burned up a lot of our energy and our willpower.
And creativity too.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And we've spent it all on other people's stuff, on their ideas, on the things that they need. And it's fine, to meet other people's needs, but in a business, if it's not growing and it's not making money, then it's not really a successful business. So we have to prioritize that. If our business doesn't succeed and we don't succeed, we can't help anyone. But if our business succeeds highly, then we can. So
Right.
What I recommend that people do is set aside the first at least 2 hours of their workday where they don't check email, they don't check voicemail, they don't go get on everyone else's agenda, but they put that time when they have their focus, they have their energy, they have their willpower, they have their creativity, and they invest that time in improving their product, in talking to their customer, in improving their marketing, in creating their next best thing. And if you do that, if you just take your first couple of hours before you've gotten on other people's agendas, and you do that systematically, you make it a practice in your business, you can dramatically increase your success.
So is that what you would recommend to actually do with your time during the workday to produce the most value and profit, or is there other things that you recommend too?
Well, even more important than that, actually, we can go upstream a little bit further, is to make the very first part of the day about yourself. And so, I recommend people create what I call a personal success ritual before they create their business success ritual. In other words, create a practice every day where you take the first 60 to 90 minutes and you do something that rejuvenates you and brings peace and brings serenity and brings your awareness. See, when you first wake up in the morning, you've just had ideally 7, 8, 9 hours of completely disconnecting from all of that stuff that you're doing during the day. And your mind settles, when you're dreaming, you're pruning connections that you don't need anymore, and you're cementing the ones that are going to be more for the long term. You're resting your body. So when you first wake up, the last thing that you want to do is go and, again, read your email and get yourself all worked up and get yourself worried about the 47 things on your checklist to do, right? So I recommend spend the first 60 to 90 minutes going for a walk, doing some exercise, taking the time to bring your attention and just be calm and focused. If you do that, the important things that you need to do will come to you during that time.
Yes.
Yeah? I just had a daughter. I had my first child about 11 months ago.
Oh, congratulations.
And I thought, this is going to be a little challenge for my morning ritual.
Yes.
But what I did is I adapted, so within the first week she was born, I started waking up definitely earlier than I used to. She likes to wake up when the sun comes up.
Yes.
But I strap her on and we go out for a walk anywhere from 1 to 2 hours. And she, for the most part, just likes to, look around. And sometimes she gets out and walks a little bit. But it's a really nice time. And having a big baby strapped on you and walking.
It's good exercise.
And honestly, my objective, I actually do creativity exercises when I'm walking to kind of warm my mind up. And, the 1 or 2 or 3 important things that I need to get done that day, they just occur to me. They pop into my mind. Even though I'm not, again, checking my email or looking at my voicemail or I don't do any of that stuff.
Right.
I don't check my email and I don't check my voicemail and I don't read my text messages just when I first wake up. I go for a walk with my child. And then when I come home, I know what I need to do. So create a personal success ritual. Do something that really rejuvenates and charges you up in the morning so that, what you're affirming to yourself, what you're affirming to reality, what you're affirming kind of to being is that your attention is key. Like having your own energy for yourself that you can direct into the things that are important. And if you affirm that to yourself every single day as the first thing that you do, it just sets everything right. It prioritizes everything correctly.
You have more to give to your partner, to your child, to your business. When you're filled from within, it's like one of my teachers says, you're giving from the saucer because the cup is full and it's full. So you're now giving from the saucer instead of the cup. Okay, so Eben, I love that you talk about, that it's really important to become at least competent with sales and marketing and business. Can you explain that?
Yeah. most people, when they get into business, they look at salespeople and marketers as kind of second-class people, and they think that it's something that you get somebody that has a low sense of morality and ethics to do if you have to. And that's only if you're selling cars or real estate or vacuum cleaners door-to-door kind of thing.
Right.
And the reality is that professional sales and marketing, the kind where you bring intention and attention and you bring everything you've got to it, you bring your heart to it, yes. It's actually very powerful. I mean, most customers, they don't know how to make a decision. They don't know how to compare your product and service to other products and services. They don't know how to value things. And the process of learning professional sales and marketing is really helping customers to understand what your product can do for them in a way that motivates them to buy. Now, from the outside, sometimes some of the more powerful direct marketing and sales techniques, they can feel a little intense or a little bit intimidating, but really, essentially no one that I know that I've trained who's learned professional sales and marketing and really gotten it has ever turned back around and said, you know what, marketing and sales still sucks and it's still bad stuff and I don't want to do it.
Right.
Once they learn it, they realize, oh, this is actually not that hard, and it's not the kind of thing where I have to be rejected all the time or high pressure people into things. It's actually about really understanding the other person, having compassion for their needs, and then communicating in a way that gets them to take action. I mean, I like to define marketing as just simply communication that gets customers. And if you're communicating in a way that gets customers, then you're doing a good job marketing. And if you're not, well, then you're not. And you should at least become competent in it because it gives you a superpower.
Absolutely. I heard years ago from Eva Gregory, she's one of my first teachers when I became a coach, that when you offer your services, it's like going around a party and you have your hors d'oeuvre tray, and you just offer it. And some people are going to take it immediately and some people will never take it, but it's you being able to offer your goods, offer your yummy treats, and just, serve it like hors d'oeuvres. So awesome.
Well, a lot of people, politeness, like really serious, deep, heartfelt politeness is oftentimes it's overdone by people who haven't experienced success in their life and who come from families and lineages and sometimes cultures that haven't experienced a lot of success. And when you're around a lot of people who are not successful, being really polite is kind of a way to make it easy for everyone, to make it a little bit easier to bear, But the reality is that as you become more successful and you start hanging out with people that are a lot more successful and you spend more time around leaders and people that are up to really big things in the world, and I'm not just talking about people that make a lot of money, I'm talking about people that run philanthropies and people that run causes and people that run cities and people that run countries, you see that they've kind of taken off a little bit of this veneer or a little bit of this kind of superficial over etiquette or over politeness with other people, and they're more direct and they're more straight with you. Now, sometimes they're not. I mean, we know that some politicians and some business people are not. But the bottom line is, most people are generally good, and most of them, as they become more powerful and more successful, they strip this off and they become more direct, and it's refreshing. And so you can take some of that stuff off. A lot of times this is really like a deserving issue. People don't feel like they deserve to have success because they haven't had it their whole lives. So they don't take the steps to go out and directly ask their customers what they need and then directly ask their customers to buy. And when they start doing it, they realize, oh, people actually appreciate the directness. They appreciate you telling them what's going on. They appreciate you asking direct questions. And the politeness, while a beautiful value, and again, while it comes from a really beautiful place in the heart, is often better for social relationships, that when people are spending money, they want you to be more straight with them, and it's a skill that you can develop.
Absolutely. Well, one of the big things that I do in my business, and that has helped me be really super successful, is I have created a phenomenal team around me. And one of my skills that I have learned, because I came from a father who owned his own business, he was the cook, chief bottle washer. I mean, he did it all, right? So he wants something done, you got to do it yourself. And I'm glad I let that philosophy go to the wayside, because I really believe you need a team. And one thing that I've gotten really good at doing is delegating. And so I want to tell you, how can you delegate the things that take up your time, and what prevents people from actually doing that?
Yeah, well, you brought up an interesting point. A lot of us feel in our businesses like we have to do everything ourselves. And what you find is that if you're really a committed business owner, like a really serious entrepreneur, you will be able to do a better job at most of the things in your business than the people that you bring on. Right? You will actually be able to do a better job at it. Now, as you get going, for example, once we got going and we had a bunch of business and we were growing really fast, I had to hire someone to run our technology. Now, he is a far better computer programmer. He's a better developer than I will ever be. And so you will bring people on that will be better than you at certain things. But the things that, are around the product and the marketing and interacting with the customers, you're probably going to be the best at. And so part of it is finding great people, delegating to them, and then letting them go through the process of growing until they're really great at something, rather than continually jumping in and taking it back from them because they're not doing as good of a job as you. So an expectation that I like to give to people is expect someone that you hire, that you delegate something to, as long as it's not something like a computer developer where they're obviously just a lot better than you,
sure.
Or something like this. But expect when you delegate something, they're probably going to do 60 to 80% as good of a job as you. And that if they can do 60 to 80% as good of a job as you, but they can also give you all that time back, it is a complete bargain. When I started my business, it was me doing everything. I built the websites, and I made the book, and I answered all the customer service emails, and I checked my stats, and I literally did every single thing. And then several months in, I hired a virtual assistant who came to work with me for less than $10 an hour, and she took about 20 hours of work a week away from me. Now, this was dating advice that we were teaching at the time. Right? So a guy writes in and he asks a question about dating advice, or has a need. Is she, this new person who's just met me, going to be able to do as good a job answering his questions? Right? No, of course not. But you know what? With some templates from me and a little bit of training for a couple of weeks, she's going to be able to do 60 to 80% as good of a job. But I get back 20 hours a week that I can now go start a new marketing channel. Like I can go do affiliate marketing, or I can go create a whole other product. When we for example, when we launched our second product in that business, which was a little under a year, like around a year after I released my first book, we released our second product, which was an audio series. Our business doubled that day, and it stayed doubled because we launched our next product.
Sure.
Now, I never would have been able to do that had I not delegated, and I never would have been able to delegate had I not had the mindset, it's going to be good enough if they can get 60 to 80%. So, find great people, and then delegate and let them learn the lessons that they need to learn, and realize that if you can get back your time, that it's worth having a slightly less good experience for a period inside your business.
Awesome. I so appreciate you, and I've just had so much respect for you. I still have so much respect for you. I used to have respect.
This moment, I have respect for you.
No, I've always heard such amazing things about you. I've actually seen you speak. I've enjoyed our connections that we've had, and really excited to just introduce you and your wisdom to what I call my family. So thank you for being here, Eben. And family, please leave us a comment. Let us know what you're taking away from this. This is really great advice from Eben, and we'd love to continue the conversation. So let us know what you're taking away. Let us know how you're going to implement what Eben was talking about in your business, and have a really great week.